Karine, so to follow up on that, this deal looks like it's going to fail. So without getting into specifics, is there a plan B?
I'm not going to get into, again, like you just said, get into specifics of a plan B. There is a border that exists right now in front of congressional members, in front of senators, and in front of House members. Right there, a bipartisan agreement that has been endorsed by the Border Patrol Union, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. It has been worked on for 2 months, and the president laid out in a very comprehensive way what's in that deal. You know, Speaker Johnson has said just the last 3 months before we headed into 2024 how important it was to get a bipartisan deal. We've heard from Senator Tillis, you don't normally make this country less safer for political points. This is coming from one of their colleagues, Senator Cornyn. It makes no sense to me for us to do nothing when we might be able to make things better and stem the flow of humanity across the border for the next year. This is what Republicans have been saying. So, you know, it is up to them to answer this question.
President Biden pointed out that Trump spent the last 24 hours reaching out to Republicans, pressuring them not to support the agreement. So what has the president done to personally engage with lawmakers, or what does he plan to do?
So as you know, early January, we had key lawmakers here at the White House from both sides of the aisle. It was obviously a meeting on Ukraine and the importance of moving Ukraine funding to make sure that the brave people of Ukraine were able to continue to fight against Putin's aggression. And he had that conversation. Some of that, obviously, some of the folks there were from the National Security Council team and other parts of his international security team as well. So look, or the national community. So during that time, it came up, border security came up. The president laid out how important it is to get something done, how this immigration system has been broken for decades. And so he brought it up then. We've had White House officials, including the president, have been in contact with members of Congress. We don't read out, obviously, every conversation that the president has. He has long-time relationship, decades of relationship with some of those members on the Hill. So we've been engaged. We have been engaged. When the president directs his team to go up to Congress and to really work through this negotiation process with both Republican and Democrats, that is the president acting, the president taking this very seriously.
And then finally, the president said on Thursday that he would stand here and answer all the questions that we want about this issue. So can you confirm that there is a press conference on Thursday?
What I will say is stay tuned, and I'll say stay tuned. I'll leave it there for now.
What happens now to the Israel and Ukraine aid?
Well, right now, we believe that there is, again, a bipartisan agreement that includes aid for Israel, that includes much needed aid for Ukraine, that includes humanitarian aid, obviously this border security deal, Indo-Pacific, also a component in that national security supplemental. We think that it needs to move forward. We're still going to stand pretty steadfast and say this needs to move. This needs to move. There is a bipartisan deal on right there in front of them, and they need to move it forward.
So do you separate it out, or just hope?
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. What we're saying right now is there's a bipartisan agreement. There's a deal right now in front of them, in front of congressional members in the House and in the Senate.
And lastly, the New Hampshire Attorney General identified 2 Texas-based companies being behind the fake robocall that circulated in New Hampshire. Did they give you a heads up? Do you have any reaction to that?
So I don't have any reaction to that. I would refer you to the campaign, since that was related to obviously the New Hampshire primaries. I would refer you to the campaign on that specific question. Go ahead.